Town album consist of when we did it?
Well, okay, so you got The Good Thing right off the bat.
Track 1.
Which is funny that now in the digital era, it's less than 30 seconds. So we don't get a stream count.
It doesn't count as a stream.
No, for every time someone plays The Good Thing.
Track 1 doesn't count as a stream.
Because it's only 28 seconds or something like that.
I think it's 29 seconds. You're right. It's 1 second shy. Classic Pecker. You almost made it, Pecker.
So the first, why it's song 1 is the last song we recorded. And it was almost like a victory lap.
Yeah.
So we were at the offices, friends, we're like listening to like, okay, cool, we're here. And then we're just like, brought everybody into like the little studio that Volcom had, and had one mic set up and a guitar. I was like, okay, let's just do this. It's like this. And it was like the old throwback to KGMB.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, which
Local
was the local
station.
the local news station, right?
It basically
it was everything.
It was the last thing you would hear, and then TV would just go out.
Yeah.
Kids, back in the day, there was something called cable.
Yeah.
And when the cable would go out at midnight, they would show like, in America, I'm sure like the national anthem or something. In Hawaii, we had
The Good Thing original
about Hawaii is wonderful. KGMB broadcasted local to Hawaii, all 24. Something like that. And then static.
Yep.
So we would hear that every night, staying up, whatever. But you brought up a good point. That was, I forgot that was the end. Of course it was the end.
Yeah.
And it was a goddamn victory lap because Ye barely survived.
You're right. We all barely survived.
All barely survived. Steve
let's
Kravac.
be honest.
He was hard on
Vocally?
us. But oh my God. But by
Jeez,
the end,
come on.
we had earned his respect. He's like, well, these dummies pulled it off.
Yeah.
And I edited the crap out of it. We had such a good time doing that. Other musicians played on there, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, Ronnie King. We had Josh Fishel.
Josh Fishel.
The music. But the good thing, starting number one off. Number one.
Yeah.
The good thing. It was a victory lap. It was one take.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, hey, let's just do this for fun because we can do something for fun.
Yeah.
And I think after the gauntlet of all the things that we had to learn how to do for our first professional album, it was just like this relief of like, okay, now back to what we know.
Right.
And that is how we kick off. So it's funny that you say that. There's no click. There's no anything. The actual bridge between Giving It and Kona Town is a good thing.
Yeah.
Good call. Then we start with the first super professional recording ever called Stone Love.
Yeah.
With our first record deal.
Yep.
Our first national tour under our belt.
Yep.
Me remember playing for those people who were like, what is this?
Yeah.
And we would try to play like a little bit of some 41 or just anything, say anything, do anything, building all day to do that. That went into that record. And that was, I remember, like you said, you hear it right now, the laughing, the celebration. Start this fucking record.
Yeah.
Start this record.
Jesus Christ.
And then we hit Stone Love, which the Don Wesley.
Yeah.
Again, the crucial part. Because we heard that bass line on a tape.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh. But the funny thing is, that song, it's a dub plate for two people.
Yeah.
Stone Love Sound System and the Don Wesley.
Oh, right. Of course. And this is where we started hearing all about Rory and the Stone Love Sound System.
Tell me a little more about that.
Well, we went to our first dance.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the turning point for me of looking around going, whoa, this is more than music.
Yeah.
This is life.
Yeah. The culture.
The dance hall is heavy.
Yeah.
The music is just the backdrop for the life of it.
Exactly.
Totally.
And I was immediately hooked. And we would run with our yard bags. Yeah. You know, so and all the lyrics too, if you just listen, you'd be like, oh yeah, yard bags are flying. The Don would send us over there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like, you know, backs against the wall.
Yeah.
And that's like all the guys.
You got to be there.
Backs against the wall. Girls come up and they just grind you.
Yeah.
And you just
if you're
hang.
lucky.
Yeah.
If not, you're just
hang with
on the wall.
your Heineken.
Yeah.
And you just look around.
Because there's no guy.
Yeah.
There's no male out there dancing on the floor. It's
Nope.
only chicks, which is so sick.
It's so great.
Right.
And then leaving the club, you hear the 4/4 pounding in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And there's like, it's time to go.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's just celebratory.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay.
Sometimes.
Hawaii.
We find out later, sometimes it's celebratory. Sometimes it's a deal not going down so good.
Yeah.
But you're right. That all happened. We heard the music on these records at his house in a safe, special zone where he's risking his life going here, there. But when he took us to the dance, that was like graduating to, do you want to see what this music means?
Yeah.
And
And
he
that's what you're
really
saying.
did that.
Yeah.
That was the biggest eye-opening thing ever. Like,
Yeah.
You go in there like, whoa. And it's honestly too, it's like nice because I didn't feel welcomed at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
At
Yeah.
all.
No.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, hey, I don't know how you got here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know the Don.
Yeah.
Okay, well just enjoy it. Be cool.
yeah.
Just enjoy
Exactly.
it.
We weren't allowed in there.
No.
Yeah.
That's
Just
why,
like everywhere else in our life.
Yeah.
But somebody
Elegance.
great was looking over us. In this case, it was him.
Yep.
That's so true. You're right. So that was, and Stone Love was your favorite of the sound systems.
Of the sound systems,
would
all
win a
those
lot of-
tapes.
world champions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Number
Yeah.
one sound.
So
you were listening.
Stone Love with the number one sound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That was their flyer.
They earned it
Yeah.
because they were
Yep.
the number one sound,
Yep.
and you were listening to that the first time. Because we always had Hawaiian reggae, whatever you want to call it, and contemporary, like the take on Jamaican music in Hawaii, because
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
an island music, and then that turned into its own thing,
Yep.
which is very reggae, but it's very Hawaiian, and it's its own thing. But you're right, that's the first time we were hearing real
Yeah.
that you can't get somewhere else.
And all of that was so inspiring too, to the fact that we were starting our journey too, of like the whole like cliche us against the world thing, and hearing about someone like Stone Love and their sound system and how they just kicked everyone's ass and
Yeah.
how they like, it was like our own little like 80s movie, like unfolding like in front of ourselves.
Smart, yeah.
And they were like our guiding light, and
100%.
just hearing, and then it was like, I think after like everything that went into Stone Love too, we just went so deep into all the origins of where everything came from, and started making all the connections with Sublime and like Tenor Saw and like
Oh, yeah.
and
That was a trip.
Barrington and everything, and realizing like how on it Bradley was of
Yeah.
like, oh wow. So but like looking at the Don Wesley's vinyl collection and being like, shit, Brad's already heard all this stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And seeing
Yeah.
where it all
Opening
like
it up.
where he
Yeah.
put it into his music and whatnot. And then our minds were just so
It's like
blown.
a breadcrumb trail.
Yeah,
Going
totally.
all the way back.
And feeling how he must have felt when he was, because when he got captured by that music, so much of it's in there. He's singing about artists he likes, you know.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
But we didn't it's like somebody gave us the Rosetta Stone to understand. I was like, oh, something.
Yeah.
But it's funny because ironically, this, as deep as we got into this real Jamaican culture, which you would only find in these, it's almost like little looking glasses into America where you could find true Jamaican culture.
Yeah.
And they're in New York, they're in California, but you have to be invited. It's so cool. So we got to do that, but then learn about the music. And when we'd find like, oh, I thought that was a Sublime song. Oh, I thought that was a.
Yeah.
But you hear it is a Sublime song, but it's how he was inspired by it. But then we got to go to our own journey of that, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great because when you hear like something off of like Sublime, Roll Call.
Yeah.
Something like that from
Yeah.
Tenor Saw. But then you go and you look for a Tenor Saw record at Nur's house, the Don Wesley, and you just go, wait, here's Tenor Saw with King Kong. It's a split album. Who's this King Kong?
Yeah.
Then you dive into that. Then
Yeah,
you
yeah,
pull
yeah.
out to Ninja Man.
Yeah.
Which leads you all the way.
Yeah, Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, to Charlie Chaplin. So it led you all the way through.
Cocoa Tea,
Yeah.
all those
Yeah.
things that were.
But we didn't have this again in Kona. So another reason why we had to collectively leave.
Yeah.
In order for us to get to where we are, we had to keep finding the new.
And this is interesting point too about how like we were so getting deep into the culture of reggae and like where it was being even filtered through contemporary artists that we were listening to, like your Sublimes and whatnot. And then, but we were also working with such like a pop punk producer.
Oh, yeah.
To make Kona Town.
So wild.
So that's, you know what I mean? So it's like,
on a
so
punk
that's
rock
where,
label.
yeah.
Coming off a punk rock tour.
Yeah, so then that's like for like Dry Spell too, though the next track.
Track
there's
3.
there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of rock in there.
Oh, yeah.
But then there's also like, the first will be the last and the last will be the first.
Yep.
Like all that shit was coming into it too.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a direct result of hanging out with the Don Wesley and learning about the Jamaican culture and just engulfing ourselves in all this amazing music there's no way we would have found it if it wasn't for that vinyl. Because like you said, those splits with like King Kong and shit,
never hear it.
like you never hear it and whatnot.
Yeah,
so
this is before streaming. This is before anything's like open for
Yeah.
you. You have to go discover the music.
Yeah.
And that was like, oh my gosh, it made it so much fun.
yeah,
You know?
totally.
And he had music that most other human beings on the planet don't have.
Oh, yeah.
And so much of it.
Oh, yeah.
Those tape,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
talk about those clashes. Some of those are live versions that you're never going to hear again.
Ever.
And only happen one time.
Yep.
Because those people were, living in a third world country Wasn't easy.
Barry G, baby.
And did Dry Spell exist before when we did the EP before with Cat Piss Studio and stuff?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think we did record it at Cat Piss.
I think we did too, right?
Yeah,
Was it all the way done?
No.
That one feels kind of like it got caught in between, like you said, the door between Giving It and whatever. It
Yeah,
still
yeah,
has
yeah,
to.
yeah.
It's got like a really advanced Giving It feel to me too,
Yeah.
right? Kind of.
I just remember doing the drum part to the jun 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 do pa do, and I remember just Kravac being like, "No, we need like a Tommy Lee thing here." Do do pa do 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 pa do do.
He was right. Shit.
Yeah,
Well,
you know, and I was
Steve,
like,
you were right.
I was
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. I don't remember like the beginning of it, but I do remember the feeling of it. And then I remember Ronnie coming in and he's just like, "So what do you want?" And I'm like, "Can you put like, because I mean, All Eyes on Me at that time was like one of my all-time favorite records. Like, and he's straight Death Row. I'm like, "Hey, can you put some Death Row things on?" And that's a
Yeah.
That's right. That was
Yeah.
heavy right there.
Yeah.
And so that's like another like us like, okay, what else? What music are we grabbing? What are we mashing up? And what are we making our own?
yeah, totally. And that's funny too, because both those Stone Love and Dry Spell.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it might have been, maybe it was Black Uhuru, Sly Dunbar.
Yeah.
But some of my best cross stick work is in both those songs.
Yeah.
That are
Okay.
one right after another on and I think it was from listening to like Black Uhuru or something.
Which you
that
wouldn't
there
have
was
got
like
as deep.
Yeah, that would replace one of the backbeats with a little cross stick work or something.
But you have to cross stick like a
man,
like a real man.
and did that come from Kravac too? It did. Damn it! Of
course
See,
it did.
through the torture of recording the drums,
He really tortured.
not just the click track, but also Steve Kravac said I wasn't hitting the cross sticks hard enough, and he kept every time after a take, "Come on, man, you got to hit those cross sticks like a man."
Which you realize
And
how
it was
hard
like,
that is because you don't get to wind up.
Yeah, it's like-
your hand never leaves the drum.
And
It's
also
a 1-inch punch.
Yes, and
all right.
and
Yeah,
also
come on.
it would be like, and then you'd be like, "Oh wait, he's not kidding."
Oh,
and
yeah.
Kravac was so dry and Canadian
He's
too.
so
just
Canadian.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
He would rip you apart, but you did it. They're
Yeah.
on the record. I heard it myself.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right though. That is a good getting caught a little bit in between.
The most mature, and that's still such. It still translates to this day when we played the 20th anniversary shows and got to revisit all this music. That was so fun.
Right.
But that one still is like the strongest of like, there's your roots, Pepper. They're just connected. Keep on going. Keep growing.
Totally.
Yeah. And then before we go on though,
Yeah. Oh God, I can't wait.
Oh shit.
we keep going back to Kravac, how hard it was and everything. Not every great teacher is nice or cool.
No,
That's a good point.
Yeah.
With this being said, without Kravac and
Yeah.
his angst
No. Oh, yeah.
and his background, and without our attitude
Yeah.
and desire,
Yeah.
this album wouldn't have happened.
No.
It really took
Yeah.
it really took us fighting him and him fighting us.
Yeah.
It's the Kona Town, like it's a fight album.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
truly is. It's two like opposing forces trying to control what this album is going to be, and no one wins.
Yeah.
It's together that this happened.
You know, it's funny you say that too about, I remember Kravac, one of his main points he was so proud of, which that's another thing. Kravac was really proud of a lot of shit he did on this record where he'd be like, "See, I got three pre-choruses
He was
in
a
on this one."
confident man.
Like, yeah, he was very passionate about everything he put in this record. But I remember him talking about the drums. He was like, "Oh, and I mixed the drums as if most records are mixed as if you're looking at the drums. So the toms will be mixed from
Left,
the high
mid,
tom
left.
will be on the right, and then as a tom roll goes to the low floor toms, they'll go to your left. That's
Okay.
how they'll pan usually.
Okay.
But
If you're
Kravac's like,
looking at it.
yeah. But Kravac's like, and you can hear it when you listen to Kona Town. Kravac's like, I mixed it as if you're sitting at the drums. So
See what I mean?
So
and his arrangements, all of that. You're right.
So
We
it
weren't
was-
gonna think of that.
So
No.
so it was as if you were sitting behind the drum kit, the way he would pan the tom rolls, where the high tom was on your left and it would pan down as if you're sitting behind the kick, where normally it's as if you're watching a band, is how it'll be mixed. And I remember and so it's like you guys are talking about all this like little nuanced shit that we never would have
end up
thought of. It had to have made a difference.
Which is why-
because it is the way it is because it's the way it is.
Devil's in the
I didn't
details.
know that.
Yeah.
Now we know why Kona Town is so air drummable.
Yeah,
because it
because
feels
you're
like
sitting
you're
behind the
doing
drum
it.
kit.
It's not backwards. It's the right way.
But all those, like, even the change I was talking about, the dance gets hot thing that he put into Boot. It's like all those little details he was very, very proud of. And it is what made Kona Town.
It really is.
And remember, we gave him hell too, boys. He's like, what is this pep from Hawaii? What is this?
Yeah.
So we gave him hell right back in a good way. You're right. It was a good fight. It's almost like he was Pai Mei and we were freaking, what's her name? The girl who doesn't get her eye ripped out in the Tarantino movie.
Oh my gosh!
Do you know what I'm talking about? This guy.
This
guy. I think it. And then she's like, "Well, I know
Daryl Hannah.
Yeah, no.
I can't remember.
Yeah, he's got to carry the freaking water.
Uma Thurman.
Yeah. We almost ripped our eyes out. Yeah, but we walked it up, and eventually we learned the 5-finger death punch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Okay.
Wow.
And then after is Faceplant.
Oh,
Faceplant.
And then here's us going from our, it's kind of cool. Stone Love, pretty much a straight reggae track.
Yep.
Okay. Next one.
Dry Spell.
Dry Spell.
Reggae with a little rock.
Yeah.
Tommy
roots behind it,
Dub rock.
Boom. Dub rock.
Yeah.
Boom. Now we're straight rock. Now we're straight punk again.
Which did, is that
It just starts.
Yeah, right. It was like a goddamn Bad Religion song. Speaking of Bad Religion.
Thank you for saying that, because we also got to see so much punk rock. Don't forget what got put into us in the Warped Tour.
That
who was on there?
That whole
Pennywise
tour,
wasn't part of Volcom Entertainment, but they were Volcom.
Yeah,
family.
they
were a staple.
The main stage in that 2001 Warped Tour
Pennywise,
was like
right?
Pennywise, No Effects,
Rancid. So we saw that live for the first time.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
All
and
summer
we're like
long.
this.
Well, except for seeing Big Melee again, seeing those bands Green Day and stuff like
Once
that.
a year at Christmas, right? But we were seeing it, living it, reacting to it, feeling a certain way
daily,
and then we started absorbing it. Is what I think was happening there, because there's no reason. Steve Kravac didn't trick us into doing a punk song.
Yeah,
no, this was
right?
ours.
Yeah, we were doing them.
It was a later one, but it was a later one. It was later because of
it's a later one
after the summer.
And I think,
so that one definitely didn't exist.
No,
in the
that's
in Cat Piss Studio era and whatnot. That was like right before we went into West Beach, basically.
You're totally right, and also even lyrically or story wise, that was a big thing that I was kind of dealing with at the time. Is like, oh shit, we really are leaving Hawaii. Don't forget. We left our home. That's all we ever knew. It doesn't mean it was easy just because we had each other. That's why we made it, I think. But to do that was tough.
And then going on Warped Tour and being such a granule of sand in the whole music industry. It's like the longer you exist in it, the more you realize that it's pretty small. You know what I mean?
You're on one beach on a world.
Yeah. But then in 2001, when we were just a band for a few years and had just been in the mainland for like a year and a half and being so tiny, it's like that sentiment of
you got no
Faceplant rings so true to being such a small speck
it's kind of
in the music industry.
Big Fish, Small Pond.
Yeah.
To the absolute opposite.
That should have been called Big Fish, Small Pond or something. You're right. We did get shrunk down, and it wasn't all rainbows and freaking Jamaican dance hall dances.
No, bro, we had a hit on Hawaiian radio, and we played Sharkies.
Exactly.
Come on, you guys got to remember.
We were on our way. We were on our way to a moderate hit, boy.
Hey, no, but you're right, and it seemed like on the record, you're kind of like, whoa, why does that seem so? Looking back now, I'm like, oh yeah, even playing it over again on the 20-year anniversary.
Yeah.
It's fun to play, but I was like, I remember the joy is kind of like you're celebrating. I got no friends. I got no friends at all. Like the different scenarios of not feeling like you don't come from here and we're going to let you know. You're not part of these scenes that you're trying to be a part of. But the squeaky wheel kept squeaking.
Which was like with everything with us at first, because it was like linking with Volcom. It's like, we don't really fit in here, but we're just going to keep going. Then getting on Warped Tour, like, we don't hugely fit in here either, but let's just keep going.
No.
You know what I mean?
You want to validate that exactly to that point of Kona Town in this song?
Yeah.
In this room, which used to be Pennywise Studio, stall number 2, all those years of admiring those guys. I saw a video of you and Jeff, I think, playing that song
Faceplant
with Jim and Uncle from Pennywise.
Yeah, Randy.
In this room.
Yeah.
Playing that song.
Which is the mind-blowing thing, how it's like we were talking about in the last episode, how it's like we've unconsciously manifested all this shit.
Yeah. Right? Am I crazy?
Yeah.
I know. I think I
You're
said
going to
that.
manifest
No.
consciously or unconsciously.
Yeah,
no matter what. It's gonna
exactly.
Are you
happen.
getting that feeling again?
Yeah,
It's like,
no,
what is
it's
going on?
it's pretty fucking amazing. Like,
pretty
yeah, to sit in this studio with all these things we're talking about,
That-
And look whose art is on the wall.
is exactly. It's fucking.
It is.
It's mind blowing.
Which takes us back to Kona, which brings me up to our next track after that is called Trade Winds, I believe.
Yes. Yep.
Trade winds.
Yep.
And that's, I remember when we moved to Carlsbad, going back to staying at Muff's apartment,
Yeah.
you had a car. Like Brett said, we were hitchhiking.
Yep.
You had a fast car.
And so all we had to do was like walk. That's the only way to get around. It was like walk or you could hop the train.
Yeah.
But also broke as a
That
joke.
takes
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
So just to get like any kind of like piece away from like Brock Foster's like ridiculous bows,
Oh, God.
or like Muff or anything, I would just go to the train station and sit down because Carlsbad train station is actually really petite
Yeah.
and like serene.
Nice, huh?
No one. It's not like. Look, I live in Oceanside now. That train station is just hustle bustle of
right.
everyone.
Right.
Carlsbad, complete opposite, the tiny little village, and you just sit on the bench and you just like watch birds. It was the first time we didn't work. It was the first time, like Brett
true.
said, we didn't have a lot of friends
point.
to call up and hang out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it was really meditative.
Yeah.
And
Check
just
you
and,
out.
and it was just a nice place to sit down, have your guitar, and write.
And
so
get
that's-
your space from your roommates.
Exactly.
Who are your band.
Who it was
Yeah.
either the laundromat to
Yeah.
go the community laundromat to go right.
Yeah.
Or for me the train station, which is
Right.
walking distance right down the road.
Nice.
Your
Yeah.
two husbands,
Yeah.
Yeah.
friends that you can't get away with or
Yes.
get away from. And that was your safe space. That's pretty wild. Would you say that train station was the Denise Richards of train stations?
Oh my gosh. I love how she keeps revisiting.
Yeah.
this.
Carlsbad.
Right.
And so that one almost kind of touching on the transition from Giving It, it's almost like Trade Winds was that such the developed Jawaiian / I was able to throw in a one drop beat to that too. So it's like
A little more side shtick.
yeah. So it wasn't like that. It was kind of like the Hawaiian reggae roots were kind of coming through heavily.
Oh,
in that.
yeah.
Well,
Good point.
Yeah, absolutely. But
know?
to tell you the truth, the biggest band in Hawaii is like UB40.
Right.
And that Bring Me
yeah.
Your
Yes.
Cup hit me
Yes.
so hard. I mean, it's basically like it is
Yeah.
just an absorption of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That Bring Me a Cup to me is like that's
Yeah.
like one of the best songs ever.
Yeah. Right.
And so when I wrote the lyrics to Trade, I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I want something like that.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
That's so funny because it's like we're saying the exact same thing. I think because I think maybe what I'm talking about the Hawaiian reggae roots is UB40.
Oh, yeah.
just because UB40 was so big growing up.
UB40 might be the first Jawaiian band.
Yeah, literally. Yeah,
Which is hilarious because they're not Hawaiian.
Yeah.
They're not Jamaican.
Yeah.
But they're British, guys.
Yeah.
which was
Which
funny.
doesn't matter wherever you get inspired. And then they inspired not only reggae, not only Jamaica, because they're loved in Jamaica.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're loved probably even more in Hawaii.
I would agree.
Oh yeah,
That was
full Rolling Stones of
Yeah.
Hawaii.
But
yeah.
but
Yeah.
but you
You know
had
what
to
I mean?
move to California to write that song.
Well, because it was played all the time in Hawaii,
Yeah.
you like
You
it.
had to get away from it though.
But when you get away from it, it's like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Well, and
this was that good always?
Yes,
Right.
And then that is what was the
'Cause now you're not-
inspiration.
Yeah.
Kind of like how we felt about like Poke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
that's
like all the things that we took for granted
Yeah.
when we left.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like Bryce is like, I have no friends here.
yeah,
yeah.
I have. This is nuts, and I don't take that as like disrespect to
No,
you. Man.
no.
He's just saying.
No, yeah.
I'm just walking around.
Yeah, this
If I was
world
to
is
do this in
different,
Kona,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We don't have this
my
thing-
hands would be so sore from shocking all over the place.
No, and that makes so much sense too, though, with the whole because UB40 was the one reggae band that we didn't need the Don Wesley
No.
to
Oh, no.
find out about
No.
because we'd
The
been
world
so
had-
engulfed with it.
No. Well, how many
growing
hundreds
up.
of millions of album global? They're
Yeah.
global.
80 million or something.
Something crazy. But you know what? Also, too, that I like that one. From an outside perspective, of that is like the same way. Ironically, next to the one of like, I don't belong here. This is a new part of us or a new thing. That one always felt anchoring to me as far as us as a band, and also Kona Town. The album is like we got Trade Winds on there. Like,
Yeah.
and we're mature in our Jawaiining that it's even it's high level Jawaiining, no big deal.
Yeah,
But you know what I mean? A song that was like really well, I think that's where we're starting to get strong and well written songs. I remember
Yeah.
feeling good about, I was like, fuck yeah, we got one. That one.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not just a bit, but like you see it translate to other fans. You know, you see a nose ring, a mosh pit, but also Pepper's playing Tridewinds at the Warped Tour, and it's going great.
Yeah, it's going incredibly well.
You can have a heart too, Silent Bob. You know what I mean? And it was like anchoring for that on there too. And even when I hear it now, I feels like I'm home.
Well, because I think that the development that we experience from Giving It to Kona Town is why Giving It kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Sure. And majority of people, I think the Kona Town's our first album.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was such a disparity between, like, it's just, we developed working with Kravac and all the touring and doing our first national tour, it's like we grew so much from Giving It to Kona Town.
And being a transplant. You were transplanted as your, don't forget about our personal lives.
Yeah.
We still have to leave our lives.
Totally. But the progression of a band between those two records, though, is just like night and day. So it's
when you look at the cover too,
it's
Danny hitchhiking
home
towards home. So it's really just, it's written, like the writing's on the wall.
And I think
what does this mean to you, kids, when you look at it?
And I think everything.
And what's home?
And what is Danny?
Danny at home is a different guy.
Yeah.
He's doing what we did.
Right. And Danny was literally based off of Danny Rogers.
Right.
Who is absolute Kona Town legend that Jesse, actually, his little brother was Brett and I's classmate.
Yep.
And he literally would do exactly what you see on the Kona Town cover that Danny the Fish is doing. He would literally just walk/hitchhike around the island constantly. And you'd see Danny one day in Kona and you'd drive to the other side of the island to surf the next day and you'd see him walking with the same blanket.
Exactly.
Just chilling. You're like, wow, he must have just been walking all through the night to get here.
And he was.
And that's where the inspiration for Danny came from. And I think just everything about Kona Town was so much more obviously intentional, where it's like the art from Giving It was a page out of Ben's art book that he's like, here, choose something for it, you guys. And where he had a direction, he had the music to listen to, he had the story, he had everything. And so it's like the art, everything about that record is so intentional and
And to go on like with that intention and what you're saying about, okay, this one feels like going back home.
Yeah.
It's a fish out of water.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this
you.
is. It's a fish out of water and he's trying to get back.
Yeah.
And like Bret showed the back cover, when he gets back, because that's the conclusion.
Yeah.
He's with his green bottles, which is
fins
also
down.
referenced into the album.
Yep.
He's playing his acoustic guitar and he's just sitting underneath the palm tree at
Watching
Hanos.
barrels.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
It's the same fish on two different paths. That's so crazy.
All right. And then next we have Stormtrooper.
Oh my gosh.
Brother Josh. Wow. Rest in paradise, my brother. We miss you so much. But we got linked up with Bargain Music pretty early too. Probably around the same.
Right after Miles and Slightly Stupid, Miles and Kyle.
Yeah.
Right? They were looking for a drummer. We would play some more local shows with them. And through those local shows, there was other bands that would also were Long Beach related.
Right.
Long Beach Short Bus.
At that point, had we linked up with Sally? That's why.
It's about like all this timing. It's pretty miraculous how quickly things moved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think we did actually hook up with Sally at this time. Like she became like, well, we started playing the Coach House.
Yes.
Right.
And she was the booker of the Coach House. Got us
she
like
met through our booking agent, Williams Morris.
Right.
Yesod Williams
Exactly.
Morris.
Yeah.
And then so we got so I think through all that though, like you're saying, we link up with Stupid, we link up with Volcom, linked up with Sally, who is our first manager, and then that brought us to Silverback with Stupid,
Who is Sublime's manager.
Yeah, but then also we got hooked up with West Coast Run with Secret Hate.
Oh, that's right.
Who wrote the legendary
Record,
Sublime
Secret
song,
Holy
Johnny Butt.
Right.
And who else was on that tour was Bargain Music.
But thank God you just thought of that.
Yeah.
Because without that Long Beach connection too, which seems obvious, Pepper, Sublime, whatever. And then you're seeing Pepper's with Slightly Stupid and their kids and they're this and they're connected to, whoever through Hawaii to Long Beach.
Secret Hate.
But you brought it to Secret Hate.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a piece of like punk, real chip of pure punk rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we toured with them.
Yeah.
Yes. They taught us so much.
Shit.
Yeah.
That band is respected by these bands that we love that maybe are more popular, more
Well, I think because then we made the connection of like, oh, they wrote Johnny Butt. Like we had no idea,
That's
and then
not
we
a
made the
Sublime
connection
song, no,
of
they
like,
covered
oh
it.
wait, all these bands that we look up to these guys.
Yep.
And we were like, oh my God. And then we end up at Tahoe Taps.
Yes.
And we meet and we meet Josh and Wisner.
Oh, yeah.
And all
And the
the
original
Bargain
Bargain
Music
Music crowd,
Boys, Phil,
which is a lot.
Trey,
Yeah, Trey
Yes,
on
Trey.
guitar. Who was on horn, trumpet, or
Skelly Man,
Skelly.
Skelly and
he
rapper.
rapped. Too.
Yeah, but I thought he played trumpet too.
Maybe he did.
I think he was
those guys
trumpet
did.
and rapper.
They were a herd of
And
musicians.
then
the three-piece, and they're like a herd of.
The bass player was
Oh.
Jeff.
Was
it Jeff?
I think
Might have been
so.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yee, just crushing it.
And then so we play the show and we're like so psyched because we're on an actual tour right now. It was like 5 shows, I think, with Secret Hate and Bargain Music shows up and we meet Wisner and Wisner busts out this little contraption
look at this little
that
thing.
we're like, oh wow.
Is that a toaster?
We hear their set and we're like, is that what's going on with all those crazy like vocal delays you're doing and whatnot? And Wisner schools us on this is the Space Echo. It's what all the
It's the Roland 101,
it's
baby.
what all
Real
it's
dub.
what all it's what all the dub
King
artists used
Tubby
to use.
uses it, and we're like,
Yeah.
We're like, King Tubby, wasn't that on one of the records?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lee Scratch Perry. Hey, I know that thanks to Nur. You see how this all tying together?
So almost bringing everything that Nurse showed us to life. Meeting Wisner.
But in the form of bargain music. What is bargain music? Even the name's confusing a little bit. Like, why'd you guys? It's a collective of real musicians. That's the other thing, and they sounded so good.
Yeah.
I was so blown.
But
Yeah.
we were like, what?
And they gave us that first Bargain Music record.
Yep.
The
And that's what we listened
007
to in our 1976 Dodge Sportsman.
over and over and over. And like, it was like Bargain Music became our favorite band.
Yeah.
Literally.
Instantly. Because we listened to that record so
We were
much.
pretending we were in bargain music. By just we knew every song, every note, and then we got to see them play live, and they were a hurricane live.
Yeah.
They
So we were
first
first of 3 then.
Josh's voice was just amazing.
Josh's voice, how skilled he was, and then he got all those good musicians to play, and the songs were incredible. You remember that?
Yeah.
So that tour, help me out. Us, Bargain, Secret.
Secret Hate.
Yeah.
And don't forget that Secret Hate was showing what real punk rock was, like real. I don't give a fuck punk rock.
Yeah, remember
It was
that
a
one
really
show
good
in-
song.
The singer Mike was just
Yeah, Secret Mike.
God,
so
he
incredible.
was just bouncing. It was just
Remember
so
the
good.
show in Sacramento when he like crawled all over the bar and stuff?
Yeah.
like an
Yes.
animal,
And
knocking off every drink
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was.
and we were like,
yeah,
okay, and pause.
and
the tape.
pause.
And get coffee. Coffee break.
Nice, good job. I didn't know we could do that.